Hi everyone, welcome to the latest session of STEM Speaker Series. STEM Speaker Series is a spin-off of the Lab Online session where we cover topics in biology, chemistry, and physics. In STEM Speaker Series, we will have experts from the industry or the academia to share with us about current issues in STEM. Joining us today is Dr. Wong Kak Ming, a research scientist at Siok Meats, a cellular agriculture company in Singapore. Dr. Wong is actually a friend of mine from university, so I'm super happy to have him on board with us today to speak about cell-based meat. So boys and girls, let's learn together. Dr. Wong, the virtual stage is yours.
Hi, thank you, Ali. Afternoon, everyone. Good to be here. So let's go to the next one. So for this talk, right, let's make it a little bit more interactive. So how can you participate in this talk is you can go to this website called sli.do and then key into our numbers 287740, and then you can join us in a pool or a questionnaire that's given out. So the first question I would like to ask the audience is, what is the one word that you think about when you hear cell-based meat? I will leave this pool open for another 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will start the talk. Yeah. Hello to those who just joined. You can go to this website called sli.do and key in this number and then join our pool. The first question that is rolled out is, what is your opinions of the first word that you thought of when you hear cell-based meat? All right. I have got some response from the audience. Keep it coming. We'll close it in another 30 seconds. Okay, so without further ado, let's move on to the talk for today. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about on what people will eat in the future. So when we imagine about the future, we may think about rocket science, artificial intelligence, VR, virtual reality. So how about the food of the future? What will be on the plate in the near future? So this will be the focus of today's talk, which is the cell-based meat. And to brings to the topic is, why do we need to have cell-based meat? This has to do with one question: do we have enough food to feed the human in the future? This has always been a major concern that will affect the sustainability of human civilizations. So based on the projections, the food production is increasing linearly, whereas the human population is growing exponentially. So there will be a time when human population will more than the amount of food produced, and famine will occur. But that was back then. Now we might be able to solve the situations by aligning the rate of food productions with the rate of human growth. So this can be done by two methods. Firstly is through birth control. So you can see in the figure on the right hand side, instead of growing exponentially with the birth control, we can sort of make the human populations grow in a linear rate. So secondly, is through the advancement in technology. to increase the supply of food, increase their yield, or improve the efficiency of how we produce the food. So let's look at some of the technology available to increase the food supply. And it is actually a multidisciplinary effort with contribution coming from different areas of scientific research. So for example, the agricultural science, they come up with new fertilizer, pesticide, herbicide to improve the crop yield, reduce the loss due to pests and disease. And selective breeding also play a role to look for a stronger strain that are resistant to drought, flood, and more extreme weather. And then soil science is another part that can help to improve the fertility of land through irrigations. And also there are practices like rotational farming to make the soil more fertile for producing crop. And then also on the other side, we have engineers that take part in building robots for automations that can help us to control the crop production process in real time, maximize the work capacity, and enable intensive farming in process. So last but not least, there are also cellular agriculture, which is new to the family. And this methods is providing alternative meat productions through cells. And I will talk more about this in the following slide. So I'm sure some of you may have heard of Impossible Foods or Beyond Meat. So these are the plant-based meat. And I would like to know, in your opinion, do you think they are the same as cell-based meat? So over here, I'm rolling out the second questions of the day. So do you think plant-based meat and cell-based meat are the same? You can go to this website, slide.do, key in this number and join the pool. You can just say yes or no. We will have a compilation of the result by the end of the day. So without further ado, let's go to the next slide. So actually, plant-based meat and cell-based meat are very different. So as suggested by the name, plant-based meat is made from plant products such as the pea and soy. The proteins are extracted from them and then made into a product that mimic the meat taste and the texture. Whereas cell-based meat is made from cells derived from animals. And they are the real meat. And we are growing it without the whole animal, or neither do we need to kill them. So hereby, I would like to introduce to the company that I'm working with, and we are called Shop Meats. And shop in Singapore and Malay is a very familiar terms, which means fantastic, delicious, or simply pleasure. And we are a cell-based seafood company based in Singapore. And our objective is to bring delicious and healthy seafood to your table by using the technology which is called cell-based meat. And we are growing the meat from healthy cell instead of animals. So hereby is a landscape of cell-based meat industry. And you can see from here, we are not alone to work on this to bring the cell-based meat to your company, to your table. There are over 70 companies around the world producing different types of cell-based meat. For example, the cell-based chicken, cell-based beef, and cell-based pork. And there are also companies who are not focusing on just producing the meats, but aim to support the whole process by producing the material that are needed in the process, like the proteins, the fat, and these are the nutrients for the cells. And there are also companies who are working on scaffolding. So what is scaffolding? Is a material that is used to support the cells and allows them to grow in a 3D dimensions. So again, it is a multidisciplinary field where different science are working together to make it happen. So for us, Shop Meats, we are right here. And we are positioning ourselves to focus on cell-based crustaceans such as the shrimp, crab, and lobster. So this leads to the questions, why do we focus on seafood? So seafood is very good source of protein, and people like and eat a lot of them. So based on the survey done in 2014, per kilograms of meat that is consumed, there are 50% or more of them are actually seafood. You can see from the graph over here. And this is quite consistent across different countries. And looking closer, according to the survey done by SFA, Singapore Food Agency, in 2018, a person will eat about 21 kilograms of seafood per year, and there's actually quite a lot of them. And so with that in mind, our founder has started Shop Meats back in 2018. It was co-founded by two female scientists who are Dr. Sandhya and Dr. Kai. They are scientists by training and decided to start their own business by bringing the alternative food to our table. And our company is almost 3 years old, and we are about 35 persons in total, and each of us have very distinct role. We have scientists for sales and engineer to build the production plant, and scientists who are working on food science to do the product development. And also there are also business and admin people who are working on marketing, finance, and etc. And here's a picture of us in the middle, where we together celebrating the World Environment Day virtually by building a terrarium. And some of the major events in our company includes the launching of cell-based shrimps, which is the siu mai shown in the picture in 2019, and a cell-based lobster prototype on 2020. So there are also other exciting events which I have not included here, including those we have been featured in the news and various social platforms, and we have also done the fundraising, and then we also do some scientific outreach through like Science Central event to promote the awareness of cell-based meat. So let's look at the process on how to produce cell-based meat, which will be the main interest of this talk. And before looking at the process, we must appreciate the fundamental science behind it. The whole process is possible due to the pluripotency of stem cell. And pluripotency, by definition, is the ability of the cell to differentiate into multiple cell types. And showing over here is a stem cell. So, unlike a normal cell that can only replicate for a certain number of cycles, stem cells can sort of replicate infinitely to produce more stem cells. So not only that, the cell can also differentiate into different cell types. In other words, it can mature into cells with specialized functions. So for example, the stem cells can develop into a nervous cells, a blood cell, skin cell, or muscle cells. And these have very great implications for therapeutic purposes. But it can also be used to make the meat, which is the interest for today's talk. So with that in mind, the process to produce cell-based meat is started with the isolation of muscle stem cell from a healthy animal. So for our case, we are isolating the cells from a shrimps. And these muscle stem cells are the cells that are able to replicate infinitely and have the potential to differentiate into muscle stem cell later on. And they are grown in a bioreactor, like the one shown in the second figure, which is a large tank that is filled with nutrients essential for self-growth. And as they continue to grow, you can see more cells are present in the tank. And once they reach sufficient number, they are ready to be harvested. And signals will be given to make them mature into muscle fibers. And the muscle fibers are the ones shown in the third figures. They resemble the meats we took from the animals. And we can make use of this muscle to make different delicious dishes, as shown in the last one. So take note that once we have isolated the cells, we do not need to go back to the animals again, because as I mentioned before, the stem cells are able to replicate again and again, and then produce the meats without the animals. So with a greater understanding on how the cell-based meat are produced, here come with the fact versus myth sections, hopefully to answer some of your doubt and queries. So for the first one, it's thought that the cell-based meat is not as healthy, delicious, and nutritious as the animal meats. So to answer these questions, firstly, the cells are taken from healthy animal and they are allowed to grow in a place that mimic the growing conditions in animal body. And we are culturing them in a medium which is like a liquid that resembles the blood or hemoglobin of an animal. Hemoglobin, by definition, is the blood of invertebrates. So in the culture media, there are basic nutrients like the glucose, amino acid, and fats, and which are added into the liquids to allow the growth of the cells. And then in terms of the healthy and the cleanliness, these meat are thought to be healthy and clean because they are not injected with antibiotic like those farm animals. And they also do not have heavy metals like mercury that is over time accumulate in animals found in the wild catch, which is a serious problem in the seafood right now. And they are also free from microplastic. This because microplastics are non-biodegradable, and they will also accumulate in the body of the animal as we catch them from the wild. And essentially, cell-based meat is thought to have similar nutrients as animal meats because they are growing like what they are doing in an animal body, but without the need to kill the animal to get the meat. We are at the stage to confirm the nutrition profile and through analysis at this stage. But as in short, we can say that they have more benefit and is considered to be healthy and clean. So here comes the second myth, which is saying that cell-based meat is bad for environment. So to answer these questions, let's look at how and where the cell-based meat is produced. So to produce the cell-based meat at larger scale, there will be a production plants like this. That is what you see in this figure, where you can see a few big stainless steel tank in an indoor setting. That is the bioreactors where the cells are grown. Bioreactors is actually a large vessel like those used for wine brewing. So instead of brewing wine inside the vessel, we are growing the cells there. So these vessels are placed indoor with a well-controlled environment, and the process is very clean. And what's more important is that the production plants can set up in any part of the world. So we call it as a geographically independent because we don't need a land to be fertile in order for us to produce the meat there. We can set it at a very extreme environment, like even in the desert. Other than that, the process of producing cell-based meat is very efficient. We are using less land, less water, and less greenhouse gases. And this has been quoted in an article published by Harvard University. You can find out more about this through the link showing over here. So all in all, the production of cell-based meat is a very sustainable and is good for the future. So some take-home message to those who have just joined this talk, maybe in the middle. There are a few benefits of cell-based meat that I would like to highlight. Firstly, it is a independent, or I would say is an alternative way in addition to the traditional meats that we are eating. And then secondly, it is healthy because there is no heavy metals, antibiotic, or microplastic. And then it is sustainable because the production of the cell-based meat is using less land, less water, and reducing less greenhouse gases. And lastly, it is ethical because we don't have to kill animal anymore to get the meats. So before I finish this talk, I would like to show you some survey that we have done in Singapore. And we have found that there are around 70% of respondents are willing to try the cell-based seafood. So over here, I would also like to do a quick survey in the audience. Would you try out cell-based meat? Kindly submit your response to this number in this website, sli.do. And then some of the current issue that is happening for cell-based meat. Singapore has become the first country in the world to approve cell-based meat for sale. And you can also see that there are a lot of companies that are working hard to bringing this alternative meat to the tables. And we are featuring in one of the newspaper over here. So to end this presentation, some advice I would like to give to those who are viewing the talk, especially the students. And I know it is being a difficult time during this pandemic, but do have hope, and we must stay strong and continue to moving forward. As you can see throughout the presentations, everything is, although it's a very big thing, but it's contributed by a lot of people, and everyone have their roles to play. As there's a saying that no one can do everything, but everyone can do something, and together we can change the world. So as a student, continue to accumulate your own knowledge, always stay curious and be there to ask questions and challenge the status quo. And you are the future for us, and the power to change the world is in your hand. And thanks for the time to listening to this talk, and I hope you have learned something. And then to end these presentations, kindly to submit a single word, sorry for the typo, that you would use to describe cell-based meat after learning a little bit more about cell-based meat. And thank you for your time. We will now go into the Q&A sessions.
Hi, Kak Ming. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Even I've learned something new today. So I've always kind of assumed that some sort of genetic modification is involved in creating cell-based meat, but actually real stem cells from the organisms are used to produce them. So they're not even genetically modified them. That's very cool stuff. Yeah, that's something new for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So one of the main goals of STEM Speaker Series is to introduce relatable role models in STEM to our students in Malaysia. So Dr. Wong, we'd really like to learn more about your background and what you do. Maybe you could start with telling us where you're from and where you grew up.
All right, happy to share this with the students in Malaysia. So for the information, I'm from Malaysia and I grew up in Johor Bahru. And for the records, I've done my primary and secondary school educations in JB. And then after that, I moved on to pursue my tertiary educations in KL, which I completed my Bachelor of Science and PhD in Monash University, Malaysia. And that's where I met Ailey also. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your experience like going through like studying in different places? And I also kind of wonder if you already knew that you like sciences and math, for example, when you were younger, like in your primary education, for example.
Yeah, I've always have passion in science and math since my primary school. Even at my primary, I've been chosen to represent the school for some of the state like science competitions, and got won some awards. And then since then, yeah. And then in my secondary school, I've always enjoyed learning different science, especially at Form 4, where you goes into the pure science. The science is not longer science, but split it into the biology, physics, and chemistry. That's the part that really catch my interest to learn more about each field of the science. And then from there, I actually found myself more prone or more attracted to bio and chemistry. And that's where I've decided to continue my study in biotech. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you could share with us like a little bit about what you do when you were already in university as well. I remember you going for exchange and things like that. Could you share with us a little bit about that?
Sure. So throughout my university study, they do have this exchange program where I get to visit a campus in Australia for like 3 weeks, where I attach to a research lab and get to experience what is the new latest technology that are available there, because as you know, like Clayton is one of the main campus for Monash, and there's like quite nice where they have this kind of exchange program, which sponsor the student the with interest, and of course with certain qualification in terms of the academic. And yeah, it's quite a good experience for me to get exposure to different environment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to be surrounded by people who are like smarter than you and more experienced than you, because that's how we learn, I suppose. Yeah. As we both mentioned earlier, Dr. Wong is actually a friend from university. So one of the things that I recall vividly is how he would always make time for extracurricular activities and also maintain his social circle. So I feel is quite a well-rounded person, and it's proved to me that he can excel in both academics and non-academics. I think sometimes we are it seems like we only have to choose one. If we want to do well in academics, then we have to sacrifice some other things. But I think it's Dr. Wong is a very good reminder that we can also be well-rounded and still maintain like a healthy lifestyle, even if we choose to be successful in our academics.
Yes.
Dr. Wong, I'm curious with all these success stories, did you face any challenges to get to where you are now?
Challenges. Let me think about it. So one of the major challenges will be to know what you really like. So if you are not sure of what you are interested in, then you will have difficulty in making decisions. So once you are clear with what you are really into, then you can always shape your direction towards it. So like for example, I always more interested in terms of biology. So I, instead of going into engineering, so I have already shaped my tertiary education into a biotech major. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, shouldn't get peer pressure and societal pressure get to
Yes.
us, I suppose. Yeah, sometimes there's
And
like
then
also this pressure that,
to make
yes,
a good
please.
decision, you should always expose yourself to different options, so you get the opinions and get a taste of everything, and then only you make a decision for yourself. Don't just follow what your friends or peers tell you that, oh, this is good, you must do this, then you just blindly follow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes for us, especially, we have like maybe people who are older than us or the media saying us that girls should do this or boys should do that. If you're smart, you should do this. If you're a little bit good at this, and this is definitely what you should do. I think you are right that we should try to sit down with ourselves and find out what we actually really like, because in the end, we have to live with those decisions every day as well. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think with that, with all the advice that Dr. Wong shared, thank you again, Dr. Wong, for making time to share your knowledge in STEM and inspire our students. And of course, thank you to the boys and girls who are tuning in and learning with us as well. So remember to join the quiz to test your knowledge from today's session. We will also award prizes to our selected top winners. The quiz will be made available on 30th June at 10 a.m. Again, one more time, the quiz will be made available on 30th June at 10 a.m. and it will only be open for 24 hours. So make sure, check out the link on our social media pages and then join the quiz. So one more time, thank you, Dr. Wong, and thank you, boys and girls, for joining us. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Oh,
Hey, there is a question
quick
coming in.
question.
Yes, nice. I like Q&A.
Let's
Okay,
go.
so I will read out the questions and I'll give you the response after that.
Yes.
So is there any way to identify allergens in cell-based meat, remove them, and enable consumption for people who are allergic to those allergens? So in terms of allergy reactions from cell-based meat, we were just discussing in terms of the cell-based crustaceans like cell-based shrimp in this case. So as I have presented, the cell-based meat is essentially essentially very similar to the meats that you get from the animals. So in terms of allergy reactions, we are expecting the consumer to have similar reactions because they are essentially the meats. So is there anywhere to remove them? We are working towards this and we are thinking of where to reduce the allergy response that is possible that could be induced. So one way to put it is we have found that like for certain seafood where people will have lesser allergy reactions to. So let's say even it is the same type of prawn. So if let's say we are isolating the shrimps, the cells from this type of shrimps, will we give lesser allergy reactions? There is a lot more study that we can do about it. But the current objective for our company is to bring this cell-based seafood to the tables to make it as like alternative for the meats that is already available in the market. Yeah.
So Kak Ming, just to be sure again, because there is another question in the poll as well, just to be sure. So if I'm allergic to seafood, will the cell-based meat affect my allergy reaction too?
Yep, I think I have sort of answered it in my previous response. Yeah, you will most likely get the reactions, but that is also up to the study to be done because there is not the primary focus of our study right now. Yeah.
For now, yes. Okay. Another question, Kak Ming. Is there any other stuff added to make the cell-based meat other than the cell?
The stuff that are added are those nutrients that are required for the growth of the cell. They are very similar to the nutrients that we will find in the blood because we want to mimic how the cells are growing in the body of the animals. So there will not be any other nasty stuff that are added. Yeah.
So nutrients to make sure that the meat can grow the way that they are supposed to grow to mimic their growing in the actual organism, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So just to cover all the questions that we got from all our different channels. So yeah, there's that. So we have some questions about some technical stuff and also the non-technical things. I think Kak Ming also shared earlier his social media handles. So I'm very sure he would be more than happy to also answer your questions if you reach out to him on those social media channels that he shared earlier. Okay, so again, remember, boys and girls, check out our social media pages because we'll be posting the links so that you can answer the quiz, and then we'll award some prizes to the top winners. So thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Take care, everyone.